it seems like there's two possible routes you could have taken. One is you raise money, and you go and hire employees. You get them to do a lot of the engineering. That saves you the trouble of having to kind of ramp yourself up on all of your software engineering skills. Uh, you don't have to learn design. It seems like a much more straightforward path to
Smarter
have
path.
taken to have taken that approach. So given that you decided to kind of learn everything, why did you do that? Uh,
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So before I quit, I definitely considered, especially when I had the full time job and the salary, I probably could have funded people to create this for me. Um, there was a number of reasons I didn't do that, and I guess the largest one was I would completely miss out on the learning aspect, right? So if I funded Hack Chinese, yeah, I'm not sure how that would have gone in terms of hiring other people to build your dream kind of thing. I know that happens a lot and people do it, but I've heard some of the horror stories of like, oh, the engineers like didn't they cut corners or whatever, and I didn't even know any of the languages that I would have proposed that they use or whatever. So like it would have been quite a challenge. And building a language learning app, which is absolutely no guarantee of success. So I was like, well, what if I spend a good chunk of money and funding people to build this thing that doesn't end up working? What will I have gained? Not very
hmm.
much. I will have gained the experience of having a frustrating experience and losing lots of money. Whereas if I did do it myself, I could kind of save that money. Um, Although the opportunity cost of not having a full time job at the time obviously outweighs that a bit. But worst case scenario is I learn all of these things, right? So even if Hack Chinese was a complete commercial failure, in the end, I still would have learned all of that stuff. On top of that, if it wasn't and it was going well and I wanted to continue it, now I could make those improvements myself. Oh, I have an idea for a feature, I can implement that, as opposed to if I had an idea for a feature for an app that somebody else had created for me, I then have to fund that again, I guess. And you just have to keep doing it, and you'd have no other way. And like once there's this like code base, and if you're not familiar with it, I think that would be much more challenging. Right around the time I quit, I had opportunity to raise cash. I wouldn't say it was a formal offer, but I had a couple people from work, a couple other people I had worked with related to Chinese language or whatever who were willing to basically put in some cash in return for some equity. But because I was lucky enough that I didn't need it, I saw no reason to do that. I mean, um, I think that if I were to do that, maybe closer to maybe this stage of the business would make more sense because okay, I have a product, it has revenues and costs, and it has like you know it's a thing that actually exists, and now we can value like, oh, do I want to move faster by hiring two engineers? It'll cost me X. I think that'll is worth roughly this much equity. Like that, those conversations make sense. Whereas in the beginning, it was like it just didn't. I wouldn't know how to deploy that capital in a meaningful way. That in the beginning, when I knew that I really wanted to be the one at least writing like the basics of all the main structures in terms of the engineering, right? So yeah.